Welcome, everyone. I'm Bryn Brown, and today in this human design type and strategy series, we are focusing on generators. Generators, it is all about you. So I want to start from the top and give you a wide scope of why this information is important, and then, of course, how you can apply it to yourself, to your life, to your business, and really make the most of this information. When we are learning human design and really on any sort of human design journey, if you're looking to incorporate this human design system into your life, the majority of what we're doing when we're, quote, living our experiment, which is, human design speak for, really understanding ourselves through this lens and learning to apply it in the best way that we can. It's really important that we spend probably 80% of our focus really just living our type, strategy, and authority. Now, we don't really have time to get into authority today because there's a number of different types of authorities. We'll touch on it really briefly. And if you're curious about getting more information on authority or just taking this deeper, then I will include the link in the comments after this video so that you can get access to my upcoming webinar that'll go deeper into this topic. For now, though, I want to share with you a little bit about how type and strategy work. So when we're looking at type, first and foremost, that's really determined by your body graph and what centers are defined. So I'm actually going to share my screen with you here so you can see, and I hope you can see my cursor moving. We'll just have this on for a few minutes. Now, this is a human design body graph. If you've never run your chart before, you can go to geneticmatrix.com. You'll see that here, or mybodygraph.com. I think that's a really good user-friendly starter version. Genetic Matrix is a little bit more advanced. It's what practitioners use to read charts. And so I don't want you to feel overwhelmed. So I typically recommend mybodygraph.com, but this works as well. You can always just start here. So you'll put in your birth information. So this is birth time, date, and location. If you don't know what time you were born, I encourage you to try to find that out the best that you can. So there's a few ways that you can find that out. Obviously, your birth certificate may have that on there. Sometimes they don't, and then you would have to go to your local region, county, city, state, and get the records for that and for a long form birth certificate. So that's one way. Parents' recollections can usually help guide you. Sometimes they know offhand the exact time. Maybe it's in a baby book. But I know it's not always available. Okay, so I've worked with people all around the world, and in some countries, that's just not, something that they have recorded, or perhaps the year that they were born, it wasn't really widely recorded. So if that's the case for you, or you don't have another way of finding your birth time, we can sort of use noon as, middle of the day as a time. Now, that would be with the caveat that we wouldn't be 100% sure that we have your accurate birth chart. So some things may change. The way that we do that as practitioners is we look at different times throughout the day to see if the chart actually changes quite a bit or not. And sometimes it doesn't, and sometimes it does. So that can be challenging. There's other ways that you can go into searching that yourself through metaphysical means. And I've used muscle testing and pendulums to help narrow down birth times. So there are a lot of ways to do it, but for the sake of today, let's just hope that you are pretty confident here that you are a generator. Now, if you're a manifesting generator, we have a day specifically for you as well, but this is really helpful to listen to because generators are generators at their core. Okay, so you're going to have a little bit of a different way of being. And this can be helpful because, again, this is foundational for you as well. So generators make up around 70% of the population. Okay, so that's generators and manifesting generators, and about half of them are true generators. Okay, so roughly 35%, give or take. Now, what often happens is when people hear that they're a generator or find out that they're a generator, there can be a sense of, oh, I'm just a generator. And if that's you, I want you to hear that you are so much more. Generators are literally what make the world go round. So I want you to be excited about being a generator. We're going to talk about all the wonderful ways that you impact this world. And then we'll talk about your strategy for making things work a little bit more seamlessly for you. So the reason I wanted to show you this body graph is so the one you're familiar with it. Now, when you run your body graph, you're going to have all kinds of things lit up. Some things are going to be colored in. You're going to have maybe lines connecting two of these crazy numbers. You're going to have maybe some that don't connect. They just go halfway. We call those hanging gates. And if they go all the way, we call them a channel. But regardless, if you are a generator, you will have this square second from the bottom lit up. Now that'll be colored in. And these are your centers. In human design, there are 9 centers. Okay. Now this center is the sacral center. There are these 4 down here on the bottom right are called motors. Okay. So these are motors. They have energy sort of emitting properties to them or qualities to them. This is the most sustainable, the only sustainable energy motor here. So this sacral motor is really important and it's key to you being a generator. We're going to really dig into this, but I want to give you the overview so you know what we're looking at. So we have these 4 motors here. If one of these 4 connects all the way through a channel up to your throat, that makes you a manifesting generator. But if you don't have that and nothing is connected to the throat, or excuse me, if this doesn't somehow connect through to the throat, the sacral, so if it could connect to the throat straight up, but for example, if it doesn't, that's how you know you're just a generator. And of course, it'll be on your chart, just a generator. Excuse me, I just said that. Not just a generator, that you are a true generator. And sometimes it's called a pure generator, but that's dependent on your authority, okay? So as a generator, okay, you're really here, designed to be here to master something over time and to work. Now, that can sometimes be conveyed as, oh, a workhorse or a worker bee, and that can feel a little bit trivial, to be honest with you. That's not 100% accurate. I want to talk through that a little bit because generators literally make the world go round. We would be nowhere without generators. Generators are designed to show up in the world in response to the universe. It's like you're in this big cosmic dance with the universe. Okay, and the universe is giving you signals and you are simply responding. Now, the sacral center is so important because it has a very distinctive way of communicating with you. So in human design, we learn that our minds are not really where we're meant to be making decisions from. Our minds, we have ego. There's a lot of influences. A vast majority of the population has their head center open, meaning they're being influenced by outside influences. So there's a lot to be considered here. And truthfully, in our society, in developed nations, certainly, but really in all society, there is some level of conditioning that is present. Now, we currently live in a generator, sort of generator run, generator friendly world. Okay, we just do. So if you're not a generator type, then things can feel a little bit challenging for you. And we'll talk about that when we focus on your type. But we actually do live in a generator friendly world where it's this concept of get up, work hard, work a full day, put in your hours and go to bed exhausted. And that actually works really well for a generator. However, the conditioning that we have is that you need to be working for someone else, or it's for the greater good, or finding a job that provides security. So it's an exchange for something else rather than what you're truly designed for, which is to work for an inner sense of satisfaction. And how you find that as a generator is through that sacral center. It is a gut knowing. It has an on-off response. And most generators have been conditioned out of understanding how that feels when it's a yes and how it feels when it's a no. Okay. And you may be somewhat familiar, but truly the conditioning in our society, at least in the United States or Western developed nations, is that it's not something to be honored, right? We do what is the societal norm, or we do what is seen as right by our family. So there are all of these conditioned responses that you can have. If you are a generator, it's really important that you get to know this sacral center. Again, it's an on-off, and it's actually a yes-no. And if you want to go even deeper with it, it's an okay. So generators, when I work with generators, I can see it in them sometimes before they can feel it within themselves. This is an inner knowing. Okay. Now your authority is going to influence how you make decisions. I'm just kind of going back to this inner knowing and really hoping to ignite that in you. Okay. If you're a generator, I want you to feel, what does it feel like? Do I know what it feels like? Can I tell what it feels like when something is a yes? Can I tell what it feels like when something is a no? And again, with generator clients, I can often see them lean forward or lean backward, or the face that they make is in response to the sacral knowing. Now, interestingly, as we say, yes, no, in this sort of black and white terminology, it's also true that for generators to really tap into your sacral knowing, your sacral response, you really need to be asked yes, no questions. When you're asked open-ended questions, it's easy to default to your conditioned response. So yes, no questions can actually get us to a more clear line of communication with your sacral response. So again, when I'm working with clients, I'm always framing things in a yes, no capacity when they are generators or manifesting generators. And it can feel a little bit uncomfortable because you would think with a yes, no answer, you would just get a yes or no. What I've learned is it's always, not always, but there's typically some sort of response after that. No, because. Yes, what I'm noticing is, this feeling up, right? So there's more to it than just yes or no. And there's deeper ways that we can take this. But again, for the purposes of this training today, I want to really just tap into this concept of My daughter, she's almost 3 years old. She's a generator. And it's funny how I know, now that I know this, and I'm so grateful that I do, I can ask her yes, no questions, and I can tell when it's a really true sacral response by the type of yes or no that I get. And it's funny because the yes is usually a yep. And it's so fast and it's so instant that we know we're on the right track when we ask her yes, no questions, and we get that kind of a yes, or that strong of a quick of a no. Okay. So the value of having this for me as a parent obviously is immense. It's, I can't even quantify it, because now I am able to sort of keep this in mind to help her stay in touch with that sacral response, to sort of reduce as much conditioning as possible throughout her life. So if you are an adult and you have conditioning, you have trauma, you have life experiences, perhaps you have certain other aspects that may seemingly be, I don't want to say conflict, but maybe be a conundrum with the sacral response, you can learn to work with that and understand how that energy works. But the sacral is really, really important. So for generators, we have for every type, we have this sort of indicator, a barometer of whether we know we're on track or we're off track. Okay, so we call it a signature or a not self is what the technical terms are, but let's think on track or off track, or in flow or out of flow. So for generators, it's when you're in flow, when you are really living true to your sacral response, that sensation is a deep sense of satisfaction. Okay, so you can think of, I'm sure, as a generator, times where you have felt so deeply satisfied by your work, by your relationships, by your things that you're doing in your life. And conversely, and probably more obviously, when you're not in flow, that sensation is frustration. So frustration is unique in terms of the not self expression for a generator. So frustration comes up when we're saying yeses to things that are sacral no's. All right. And that's really important to begin to notice. This actually leaves generators prone to burnout, or perhaps even to have been maybe taken advantage of in terms of their energy. Now, remember, you have that sacral energy center. That is the only sustainable energy center in the entire body graph. Meaning that I like to say it's like you have a bigger engine than, or a bigger gas tank than somebody who does not have their sacral center defined. Okay, so you have a bigger gas tank. Just because you have a bigger gas tank doesn't mean you can't run out of gas and you can't overheat your engine, right? That's still a possibility. How do you run out of gas and overheat your engine? Well, not knowing when enough is enough, or saying yes to things that are really no's. Okay, so again, there can be other things in the chart that can leave you with a little bit of a tendency to say yes when it's really a no. But being in touch and being in relationship with that sacral response that's why it's so important for you. All right. So yes, no questions are how we get there. Your in flow, right? When you're in flow, things feel very satisfying. And when you are out of flow, they can feel very, very frustrating. Now, the caveat to that, or the asterisk to that, the exception to that, is there is this natural, I mentioned early on that generators are really designed to master over time. Okay, so there is, this element of finding what you love that lights up your sacral, that is a sacral yes, and you really hone that craft, and it is this sort of consistent, lifelong journey. Oprah Winfrey is the perfect example of this. Okay, so she started out and she just chipped away little by little at her career. It's easy to see that. And I think that's a wonderful way to sort of look at the things that you love. Now, there can be other influences. If you have an open G center, for example, and that's the diamond right in the middle of the body graph, you may have different directions that you go, and it's not just one singular direction, and that's perfect for you. But the idea is mastery over time. Now, here's the trick with the frustration piece, is that there is this natural evolution or growth trajectory for generators that is, this slow, steady, or exponential growth, and then plateau, and then growth, and then plateau. It's in these plateau periods where you can feel a deep sense of frustration. And it's not because you're necessarily off track. It's like a gut check. It's a gut check for you to say, okay, is this still a yes for me? Or has it become a no? Do I need to go another direction? And if it's still a yes, then that's the time to deepen your level of mastery. Maybe you take a class, maybe you learn a new skill set that's related that can help assist you with that. Maybe, you're just in your work more, and it's sort of that head down, blinders on, and there is an acceptance and sort of some grace we can invite in around, okay, yes, this feels like a plateau, but it's setting me up for the next level, right? And if it's a no, then it's the opportunity to walk away from something that's a no, or set it down for a period of time. And that can feel really scary. Again, there's other aspects in the chart that could influence that. The spleen definitely has an influence on that. The splenic center, which is just on the left of the sacral center, and it's the little triangle. And, that can make it hard to know when to let go of something. All of that aside, again, as a generator, it's coming back to that gut knowing, that sacral center, that knowing, is this a yes or is this a no? And getting there through your ahas and your uh-uhs. So the strategy, and I want to see, is there anything else I want to say? Mastery over time, plateaus. Again, burnout. Again, burnout is a vulnerability for generators. If you are a generator and you're burnt out, you have to address the burnout first. Burnout comes when you are consistently saying yes to something that's a no. And we have to get clear on what needs to change in order to bring that burnout back down, right? We need to bring our nervous system back down. We need to come into a place where there is nothing more powerful, enigmatic, magnetizing than a generator who is lit up, who is in their sacral yes. When you're in a stage of burnout, it's very difficult to be in that sort of magnetic place. So we have to address that first. And that might be taking steps to find a new job, to leave a relationship, to change something in your life, move to a new place, the new location, whatever it is that is the no that you've been saying yes to, that needs to be identified. And you have to address that first and foremost. Then we can get back into what is lighting you up. Okay. My mentor, Robin Wynn is her name, for human design. She talks about she's a generator herself, so I feel like it gives her a little bit of an okay to say this. She talks about generators like being working dogs in the best way possible. But she says it's like if a working dog is stuck at home and it doesn't have anything to do and it's not getting walked and it's not doing what it is meant to do, it's going to start getting destructive. Even self-destructive, right? Destructive to its environment and destructive to itself because it needs that outlet. And generators are very much the same way. Okay. You need to have those yeses. The universe, the quantum field wants you to be in your yes, because again, you're in a dance with the quantum field, with the universe, and it's offering things for you to respond to, and it's waiting for you to respond to those so that you can fulfill whatever it is that you're here to do. Okay. Which brings me to the strategy for the generator. So the strategy is to wait to respond. Manifestors are the only types that don't have to wait for anything. So we're all in the same boat. I'm not a generator. I'm a projector. We also have to wait for an invitation. It's a little bit different, but I want to talk about this. How do you actually wait to respond? Regardless of your human design type, when you're looking to manifest, when we want to play with the quantum field, when we want to be deliberate creators, as an old teacher of mine used to call it, we are all in relationship with the universe and the quantum field. And the way that we begin to truly co-create is through questions. And for generators, there's nothing more true. Show me what is it that I'm meant to see? What am I meant to respond to? What is the next step for me? Where do I need to go with this? Asking those questions of the universe, first and foremost, is so helpful to get you seeing and really in response. If you are a generator and you're trying to initiate things, now I'm not talking to manifesting generators because you have a little bit of initiating energy, but if you are a true generator and you are trying to initiate things, we're going to move into a place of frustration, out of alignment. Things are going to be more challenging than if you're trying to force things rather than waiting to respond. So again, my mentor shared a story with us about, she's always wanted to write a book. She's always wanted to write a book. She now has several books and they're amazing. And I highly recommend them. Again, Robin Wynn, they're back there. So she always wanted to write a book, but there were no clear signs. And then one day it just started, and it was sign after sign after sign, getting ads for, write your book today and work with this coach. And, people starting to say things like, oh man, you should really write a book, right? Then she could notice the sacral response of, ooh, yes, that feels really good. Ooh, yes, I really want to do that. Then she could respond to that sacral yes and begin writing books, right? If she were to just go out there and try, and this didn't happen because luckily she had human design by her side, helping to guide her, it could have resulted in a lot of challenges, okay? So that's what you're looking for, is you're waiting for that sacral response. And it doesn't always have to be a yes. I want to point that out. Sometimes that sacral response is a no. Sometimes it's a no, and we need to really respond to that too. Okay. So if somebody's inviting you to a networking event or a party or a gathering of some sort, and there's a clear no in there, that's perfect for you. And it's okay to honor that. Okay. I know all again, that's where conditioning can come up. There's the people pleasing, and there's the social norms, and there's the, XYZ that comes up that says, oh, I should probably go to that. Right. Oh my gosh, I should go to that networking event because I need clients and I need to make money, and I have to go to that. And this person said I should go. And now I'm responding to that. It doesn't always work that way. So the challenge here for the generator is to really begin to trust, if you've been highly conditioned to not trust, okay? And trust that when your sacral tells you yes or tells you no, that is the universe having your back, that there's a plan, there is some sort of benefit for following that. And I cannot stress how important it is for you to have a relationship. So you can begin to build a relationship. If you're not sure, if you're sitting there and you're like, I don't actually know, if I say, do you know what it feels like when your sacral says yes, and you don't know, we start to practice with things. So you can have and enlist people that you care about and that you trust to ask you yes, no questions. Work with somebody who knows about this stuff so that you can have yes, no questions presented to you, so you can rebuild that connection, or uncover, revisit, right? Remember that sacral response and begin to use it in your life. Now, if you have, for example, emotional authority, you may get a sacral yes. Emotional authority is going to say, yeah, write out your emotions around this, right? And so take your time with it and don't make any decisions, right? So there is another piece to this, but again, for the sake of today and the time that we have now, we're just going to focus on the yes, no questions. So that's generators. Generators, again, you make the world go round. We wouldn't get anywhere without generators, truly. And you do have a bit of luck in the sense that we live in a really generator-friendly world. The key is to really make sure that you're only working towards things that are true sacral yeses for you. The last thing that I want to say that's coming to me now is really, I also want to impart that generator types are incredibly relational. So earlier, I mentioned the difference between a generator and a manifesting generator, where a manifesting generator has one of those motors that connects up to the throat, and a true generator, does not have that. And I want to point that out because when we're thinking about creating and making, it's like living our purpose and intentionally creating and manifesting what we want in this world, the way that we do that is by connecting the throat down to the motors, right? Like a motor to the throat. The joke in human design is that that's how you win the game of life, is to have a motor to the throat. Now, some people have that advantage. It's not a disadvantage necessarily to not have that in your chart. Okay. I have a defined throat, yay, but I also don't have any motors at all. I have nothing below my throat. So it's not that it's a disadvantage. It's that when you don't have a motor connected to the throat, we're simply looking to connect with other people to light that up. So when you are in the energetic field of other people, we begin to connect places and define places that weren't defined before. So when it comes to business, when it comes to work, when it comes to leadership, when it comes to life, generators are relational beings. You are meant to be in relationship with other people. Okay. Now, again, there can be aspects to your chart that make you more introverted, or they make you, not want to be maybe in big crowds and rather be one-on-one or in small groups. And that's wonderful. Again, it's really the concept that you are designed to work with people. You're designed to be in community. You're designed to be, you're relational. Okay. It's like the analogy of the working dog. They're pack animals. Humans, we're pack animals. We are meant to be in relationship overall. And that is extremely true for a generator. Okay. So that feels complete for me for today. If you have questions, I wasn't checking as we go on this live. If you have questions, please be sure to ask them. I'm happy to answer them for you. If you are interested in going further, I will give you the link. The link is going to be here. I'll drop it in the comments, and in the future, I will go ahead and post it in the main description here. Join me in my webinar next week that I have on September 21st. It's at 2 p.m. Mountain, which is 4 p.m. Eastern time. And that's going to be Human Design Demystified. So we're going to take this at a really high level and look at the entire system and begin to tease out different elements that you can be looking for in your chart so that you can create a deeper understanding of this system, also the uniqueness of your chart, and then how you can actually apply that to your life. I'd love to have you there. Consider this your formal invitation. And yes, we will have a replay for those of you who register. So be sure to get registered through Eventbrite so you can get access to the replay. Tomorrow, we'll be talking about manifestors. So manifestors are coming. That's Wednesday, the 14th, Thursday, the 15th. We're going to be talking about manifesting generators. Friday, the 16th, we'll be talking about projectors. Hey, fellow projectors. And on Saturday, I think is that the 17th, we'll be talking about reflectors, magical reflectors. So I'm excited to do this deep dive with you. I encourage you to listen to all of the different types so you can begin to understand how we relate to each other, especially if you're a generator type and you're designed to be in community, to begin to understand how everyone is a little bit different, okay? Generators, I love you. My daughter's a generator. I have a special place in my heart for generators. You are magical. You are here to impact the world. You have this you have this receptive aura to you that is just able to respond, to just recognize and respond things in your environment. Know that the universe has your back. Know that you're meant to have whatever you want to have. And your key to doing that is to be in relationship with your sacral response and ask questions of the universe and let the universe lead and guide. Okay. Have a wonderful day. I'm so grateful for each and every one of you. And I'll see you guys here again at 9-ish tomorrow. Bye for now.